Hello and welcome to this Affinity Photo beginner's look at the perspective tools, and this is for the PC and Mac version. We are going to be looking at the destructive way of using the perspective filter and the non-destructive way. Now it's not going to be vastly in depth because this is just like the beginner's basic look, but it will give you some idea of what this tool can do. We'll also be having a look at using guidelines which can be drawn out from the rulers which run down the left side and along the top of the image panel. Now if you haven't got your rulers active, you can come to View and down to Show Rulers, or on a PC you can use Control plus R, and I believe it is Command plus R on a Mac. So once the rulers are visible, if you come to the Move tool, you can just click somewhere on the ruler, hold and drag out a guideline. So I'm going to set this on, let's set this on 20, so you can roughly see that it's 20. That line will continue over to the 20, and we are on, I think, millimeters. Millimeters. So similarly on the left ruler, if you click and hold and then drag out, you can drag out a guideline, and I'm going to go to just about the second pencil in from the right here for this ruler, and guideline I should say, and similarly about the second pencil in from the sort of left side. So I have, these are just to help me position the perspective tool. Now this is, like I said, this is going to be the destructive version, and there are two ways of accessing the destructive filter. One is via the filters menu, so you can come up to filters and distort, and perspective is the second one, or there's an icon down here on the left which I've currently set on mesh warp tool, but if you click on the little arrow just below it, you can access the perspective tool. So there are two different ways of accessing the perspective filter. Now before I actually activate it, I just want to sort of point out that this image I got from pixabay.com, and I used the stock tab to find it and bring it into Affinity Photo, and I will add a link to that image in the description for this video. But I do want to point out that this, as it's been brought in from Pixabay, is an image filter. This is quite important because it will change to a pixel layer when we activate this filter. So it just is something to bear in mind, that although they are sort of both pixel formats, they are sort of treated differently within Affinity Photo. There are certain things you can't do to an image filter, so Affinity Photo will sort of convert it to a pixel filter so it can do its job. Similarly, if you're going to be using this filter on text, it will have the same sort of effect on text. It may change it into a pixel filter, pixel layer, sorry. So I'm going to activate this perspective tool, and you can see the assistant has rasterized this, and as you can see it has changed it from an image layer to a pixel layer. Now there is, in this box down here, there is an option to show a grid, which I don't really need because I'm going to be using these guidelines. So each corner there is a white node, and you can click and hold on any of these and just alter how this looks. So I'm moving mine to where these guidelines cross over, and let me just move this out of the way. Now if I wanted to, I could sort of come outside of the area, but I'm going to leave mine as it is, and once I'm happy with that, I will click apply. So because of the way I've moved it, we now have the background visible, so I just want to fill that in. So I'm going to add a pixel layer, and I'm going to click and drag this to the bottom, and then get the flood fill, make sure white is my color, click on that, and then flood fill that with white. So if I come to the move tool, I can get rid of these guidelines now, I don't need them, and then I could crop this and get a sort of a different perspective on that image. So that is the sort of destructive way of doing this image. If I'm going to come to this second one, and it's exactly the same image, but I've renamed it to live filter, and as you can see it is an image layer. So this time I'm going to use the non-destructive way of using the perspective tool, and for this you need live filters. Again, you can access this from I think it's layers. There we go, new live filters. Sorry for that, I very rarely use the menu options. So you got the new live filters there. I personally prefer to just click on this icon that looks like the egg timer. So you just click on that menu and then find perspective. So I'll click on that option, and as you can see from the layers panel over here, it has added this as a child layer of the image, and because it is a live filter, it hasn't changed it to a pixel layer. This is still an image layer, and if this was text, it would still be a text layer and not a pixel layer. So this is a good reason for using live filter version rather than the destructive filter version. So I'm going to do the same as I did before. I'm going to drag out these guidelines and come to there, and then just double click on this to bring back this option, and then just bring these nodes to the same place as I did on the other image, and I can just close that, highlight the top layer, and then I'm going to add that pixel layer, and again flood fill this with white, and I can then get rid of these. Oops, help if I didn't move something. There we go. And then just bring the crop tool down to edit that. So we then have pretty much the same image, one using the destructive filter and one using the live filter, which is non-destructive, and sort of demonstrate the differences. If I didn't like how this looked and I wanted to sort of alter it, I would have to redo the perspective filter, because this is sort of set now that I've used it. So that is what I mean by it being destructive. Once it's done, and that is where they're going to stay. But if I come to the live filter version, all I need to do is highlight that perspective layer and double click it, and the tool will come back. So I could, if I wanted to, alter this again, and this time I will spray them out a little bit further. Like so. So I couldn't have done that with this version without adding the filter again. So that will give you more options using the live filters, because you can go back and alter things as and when you want them. So basically that is it. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.